Okay, we are on page 16, and this is the guided practice. And what we want you to do here is go ahead and try all the problems that you can, pause the video, resume playing the video when you're either ready to check your answers or if you need a hint. 1A reads, graph the temperature for each city on the number line, and then there's some follow-up questions. A is going to be at -9, B is at +10, C is at -2, D is at 0, and E is at +4. Question B reads, which city was the coldest? Well, the coldest is the one that's going to be farthest to the left on the number line. That's way over here. That's going to be city A. And the opposite of that will be the warmest city, which is the farthest to the right, which is city B. All right, let's go ahead and move on. And for question 2, I've got a number line here. You don't have to use a number line for number 2, and you really can't use a number line for number 3. Well, you could if you had a really long one. But it says number line and wiggling around right here. I'm going to use that for number 2 real quick. The directions read, list the numbers in order from least to greatest. Now, you don't need a number line for this, but if you had one, it would make it a little bit easier. So check this out. Least to greatest means what we do is we put them on a number line. So 4 would go here, and -6, and 0, -9, 1, and -3. The cool thing about this is that the least number is the one farthest to the left, and the greatest number is the one farthest to the right. And all the rest are just in the order when you read the number line from left to right. So check out how easy this can be. I'm going to go ahead and erase these lines. When you have a number line, check out how easy this can be. The least number is -9, then -6, then -3, then 0, then 1, and then 4. Now that was a great strategy for number 2. Number 3, the strategy doesn't work quite so good unless I have a massive number line. On this number line, I would need numbers that go all the way out on the left to -65, and then on the right, they need to go all the way out to +34. And that's pretty unreasonable. So what I'm going to do here is get rid of this number line, because it's not going to be helpful. At least maybe I'll save it and use it later. So what I need to do here for number 3 is I just need to think about what would be the farthest to the left. Well, my options are all my negative numbers. I've got -65, -13, and -7. And the one that would take the longest to get to would be -65, which means it's my least number. And then -13 would be a little farther out than -7. So I've got all my negatives. I don't have a 0, so now what I'm doing is looking for my positives. So out of these numbers, now I'm going to go ahead and cross off the ones I've used so I don't have as much to look at. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 positive numbers there. If I was starting at 0 and counting to the right, the first time I would come to would be 7. Then I would come to +34. Then I would come to +55. And the last one I would get to would be +62. That is the answer to number 3. All right, number 4 says write 2 inequalities. How many? 2 inequalities to compare -17 and -22. So I've got -17 and I've got -22, and I'm going to use the inequality symbol to say which one's greater. And while I don't have a number line that goes out quite that far, I need to think about if I'm in the center of a number line at 0 and I start working my way left, I would come to -1, then -2, then -3. I'd eventually come to -17. I'd need to keep going though to get all the way to -22, which means that -22 would be farthest to the left, and the one that's farthest to the left is the smaller value, which means -17 is the greater value. So my first symbol would be -17 is greater than -22. And my second answer is when I invert the numbers. And I invert the symbol as well. And this one reads -22 is less than -17. All right, I am going to go ahead and clear the annotations, move the page up. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fill in all of these with the appropriate symbol. And I'm just going to go through these fairly quickly. And if you have a question about that, you make sure and ask me. So +2 is the greater value. 6 is the greater value. +3 is the greater value. +5 is the greater value. This one's a little tricky. -1 is the greater value. I could show you this one on the number line. I'll bring my number line up and put it right here. -1 is right here. -3 is right here. -1 is to the right, which makes it the greater value. -4 is greater than -8. 1 is greater than -4. And I guess I realize I'm saying these backwards. How I should technically say number 11 here would be -4 is less than 1. Number 12, I would say -2 is greater than -6. So I know it's easy to get those symbols backwards. Go ahead and double check all those symbols. And like I said, if you have a question, you can ask me. All right, let's quickly do question 13. It says, compare the temperatures for the following cities and write less than or greater than. And then it shows some cities here. And what you have to do is look at all the cities, but then for each question, you have to pick out the ones they're asking about. So check out A. A is asking you to compare Alexandria and Winona. Now, Alexandria is -3, so I want to put that one on the left because they gave us that one first. Winona is the second number. That's on the right. That's +2. And what symbol makes that true? It's the less than symbol. -3 is less than +2. Question B said Redwood Falls, which is 0. And International Falls, which is -4. And 0 is not a very big number, but it is greater than a negative. If I put 0 in this number line, -4 right here, 0 is to the right. So I'm going to use this symbol right here. 0 is greater than -4. All right, let's do the check-in question, the essential check-in question at the bottom of the page. On questions like this, it's not important that you have the exact answer I have, but it is important that you have something. Question 14 reads, how can you use a number line to compare and order numbers? So I'm going to type my answer. A number line is organized with the least numbers on the left and the greater numbers on the right. And that's really good enough. If you look from left to right, you can list them least to greatest. I guess that's another way of saying it. If you read a number line from left to right, then that's a list of least to greatest.